Nancy, I want to bring up, change topics with you because you know that you stirred up a hornet's nest on Monday when you said, and we played your comments earlier this morning, and basically you were saying about Whitney Houston's death, and you said you want to know who pushed her or let her slip under the water. Angered a lot of people, Nancy. They felt that you just went way too far.
Well, if you look at the entire sentence, I understand that some people would consider that jarring or harsh, but there is nothing delicate or nice about a murder, a death, an unexpected death, or an autopsy. And that is what autopsies are for. I know most people aren't exposed to medical examiners, autopsies, morgues, and medical examiner investigations. But that's why you have an autopsy, to determine when something looks to be not a natural death or an accidental death, was it a murder? Was it a heart attack? Was it an overdose? That's what they were looking at. That's what they had to find out.
Yeah, but Nancy, can't you just say, you know what? I was wildly speculating, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it. It was inappropriate. I mean, isn't that what you should be saying?
It's not speculation, Dan.
It's not speculation that she may have been pushed under the water?
I know that you probably have never tried a murder case or been in a morgue or attended an autopsy, but the reality is that's why you have an autopsy. That's what they were looking for. And in that same breath, I said there was no evidence of force or trauma.
And then you went on to wildly speculate about something that there's no evidence to suggest.
The reality is that an autopsy is a search for the truth. And if anyone loved Whitney Houston as I did, that is what medical examiners do. They look to see if it was a homicide, if it was natural causes or accident. I know that that is not palatable. It's not easy going down, but that's the reality of what medical examiners do.
But that's not the reality of this particular investigation. This is why I think that it's inappropriate.
It is the reality. That's why they had an autopsy.
Nancy, did anyone who's associated with this investigation,
cause of death.
Did anyone who's associated with this investigation say that they were looking into who pushed her under the water?
They were looking for cause of death. And that, in fact, as a matter of fact, Dan, I'm glad you brought that up, because they mentioned in the discussion that there was no sign of force or trauma, which means they looked for force or trauma.
Of course they did.
Which means, yes, they were looking at cause of death.
So then why are you,
You're arguing with me over semantics.
No, I'm not. I'm arguing with you over going on television and making a comment that I think was rightly viewed as inappropriate. And it sometimes is a time to say, you know what? I shouldn't have said that in retrospect. A nicer way to say that, or a more accurate way to say that, would have been X, Y, or Z. But instead of saying that, you're just sort of trying to defend what you said.
Well, actually, Dan, I understand where you're coming from. And it would have been true to say they were looking for cause of death. But what that means in the real world, not the ivory tower of Harvard Law School, not just sitting there reading documents and talking about it, but the real world of an autopsy, of why her body was transported to the coroner's office, is to determine cause of death, whether it be overdose, natural causes, accident, or homicide. It is not a homicide, and I'm thankful for that, but I still want the truth.
We all do, and that's why the public is always so quick to say, can't we all just wait until we get the autopsy results, and then we don't have to speculate like that. Nancy, thank you as always for wanting to come on and tell your side, and Dan, thank you again. Let's get over to Sam now. Sam.